The Bug Journal Part 1. April 3rd. Elias Teixeira woke up from uneasy dreams and saw it, still there in the corner of his ceiling. A house centipede, unmoving, its legs twitching slightly, as if testing the air for vibrations. The night before, he had seen it too, staring at it for hours from his bed, afraid to look away, afraid to turn off the light. He had eventually fallen asleep out of sheer exhaustion, expecting to wake up to find it gone, but it hadn't moved. At least, he didn't think it had moved. Elias stared at it, his breath shallow. It was an unnatural thing. He had never been good with bugs, but centipedes were on another level. Too fast, too alien, too wrong. He had read that they could live for years in the walls, emerging only when they needed food or when they were multiplying. The thought made him shudder. The coffee tasted sour that morning. He barely touched it, but he did open a small notebook, one he had used before for stray thoughts, quick lists. He wrote down a single line. Observed a centipede in my room, same one as last night? Unclear, no movement. We'll check again later. April 4th. The centipede was still there. Elias watched it from the doorway. He hadn't slept in his room the night before, had opted for the couch, eyes flicking toward the hallway every so often, as if expecting to see it slinking down the wall, seeking him out. It didn't make sense. Centipedes didn't just stay in one place like that. They were ambush predators. He had read that somewhere. They preferred to move, hunt, strike. Was it sick? Was it dead? No. He could see the faintest twitch of its legs, like individual fibers of a fraying thread. It is still there. Has it moved? Maybe a few millimeters. No noticeable change. Should I kill it? Need a method. I think it knows I'm watching. April 5th. It knows I tried. That was the only thing he wrote that day. It had taken every ounce of willpower to stand on his desk chair, glass in hand, intending to trap it. The moment he raised the glass toward it, something shifted in the air, like the room had exhaled. The centipede's legs flexed, its entire body tensing in a single motion. It did not move, but something in him knew that it had noticed him. He had frozen in place, stared at it, it stared back. The next second, he was on the floor, heart hammering, the glass still in his hand, unbroken, but his fingers were shaking too hard to try again. That night, he felt something in the walls, a faint rhythmic clicking, a shift in the drywall, the floorboards, not loud enough to be a sound, just a presence. I'm being observed. Not by it, by something else. April 8th. Researching how centipedes. The entry was clean, detached, clinical. He had spent 3 days digging through articles, watching videos. He learned that centipedes were older than dinosaurs, that they were among the first creatures to ever crawl onto land, that their bodies had evolved into weapons of speed and precision, honed over millions of years. He tried to tell himself it was just a coping mechanism, that understanding the creature would give him control over his fear. But he also started seeing patterns. Centipedes prefer the shadows, but this one has remained in the open. Centipedes hunt insects, but I have not seen another insect in this room in weeks. Centipedes are nocturnal, but this one does not move at night. Centipedes do not watch humans, but this one is watching me. And worst of all, centipedes are never truly alone. What does that mean? April 10th. He had a dream. He was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. The centipede was no longer in the corner. Instead, it was on the ceiling directly above him. Its legs shifted slowly. Then it began to descend. Not falling, not dropping, but lowering itself down, its body stretching impossibly long, each segment growing new legs, new appendages, until it was no longer just one thing, but many things, all curling downward toward his face. When he woke up, his arms felt strange, less human. His hands trembled as he wrote. Dreamed of them last night, crawling over me, covering my skin like a second body. When I woke up, my arms felt different. He flexed his fingers. Something clicked. April 15th. He hadn't left the apartment in 5 days. He had stopped eating full meals, instead preferring small bites spaced out over hours. He had started moving differently, less wasted effort, more stillness. He spent long hours in his chair, barely blinking, feeling the subtle vibrations of the apartment, the faintest shifts in the walls. The centipede was gone now, but he knew it was still here. Or maybe it was inside him. He ran a hand down his arm. The hairs on his skin were longer than before, thicker. The joints in his fingers felt segmented. That was the moment he truly understood. I am no longer afraid. Fear was a symptom of resistance. Now? Now I am something else.